Capitol Hill, a nice map here. The nicest thing about this map is it's actually oriented the way we're looking right now. So as we're this nice red dot right here, we are looking down this way of Independence Avenue. That means that this building right over here, that's the Cannon House office building, followed by Longworth and Rayburn. So if you're an American citizen, this is where, not a resident of DC, this is where your representatives will be. Also, this is the place where you can see committee hearings. And I often say, like, if you are at all interested in how the sausage is made in terms of legislation, you actually don't want to go to the Capitol. By the time a bill gets to either the House or Senate chambers, most of the debating, most of the investigating, it's already been done. They're just making pretty speeches to go into the record. Everyone knows where they're going to vote. The actual sausage making takes place in the committee hearings. That's where they have expert witnesses. That's where you see your representatives actually in action, questioning people, coming up and formulating public policy. All committee hearings are open to the public. They're usually in here. You can find them online, a schedule of them. I will tell you that they never follow the schedule, so just sort of use that as a rough idea about when a committee might be starting or stopping, but definitely worthwhile. And also, if you're at all interested in meeting your representative, this is sometimes the best way. If you can't get a direct meeting, follow them to a committee hearing meeting. First of all, see them in action, and 9 times out of 10, as they're exiting out, just say, oh, I'm a constituent of yours, I have this concern, or something like that, or just smile for a photo op. They'll do that as well. The same thing on the Senate side. So if you notice, once upon a time, the House and the Senate like to do things together. Then they stop. The Senate office buildings actually go up the Capitol Hill. So Russell Senate office building, followed by Dirksen and Hart. So that's where you find your senators, and same thing there. Senate committee hearings are in those buildings along with your senators' offices. Now, if you do want to see the actual floor of the Senate or House of Representatives, that is not included on the tour at the end of this. The tour at the end of this is just the historic parts of the Capitol. If you want to see actual legislating in action, you have to go to your representative's office and get what's known as a gallery pass. Gallery passes are good for the entire term of Congress, but that's the only way that you can get into the actual galleries themselves. It's sort of a very anachronistic system, like they wanted FaceTime between constituents and the representatives, but now it's just like a secretary in front of the office that just like throws gallery passes at you, because that's all they do all day long. But definitely go ahead and do that. Now, other things to see on Capitol Hill if you have some extra time. Excuse me today. I don't have water to me, I'm just dying of beer. All right, so over here, this is now under construction, but this is what was called Bartoli Park. There's a beautiful fountain there you can sort of see over the construction, but that is the sculptor who did the Statue of Liberty. He did this beautiful fountain for one of the World's Fairs, and then they didn't want to ship it back to France, and so they just left it in the United States, and we built a park around it. So it's very beautiful, but behind it, and it's so new, it's not even on this map, but it is the newest memorial here. It is the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial, just behind the park over here. Gorgeous, gorgeous memorial. Definitely have a chance to go check that out if you have some extra time on Capitol Hill. If it starts to pour rain, then I often suggest sneaking into the Botanic Garden. It is a beautiful 78 degrees in there almost constantly. They have a working rainforest, orchids. It is gorgeous in there. Free, absolutely free of charge as well. So something else to do during your time on Capitol Hill. Now today we are going to, as I said, sort of get a little bit closer to the Capitol building itself. This weird grayed out T there, that's the visitor center. The reason it's grayed out is because it's underground. You don't actually see it. There's no physical structure to it. But that's where the visitor center is, and that's how you gain access to the Capitol itself. We will then go over to the Supreme Court building from the outside, talk about that, that's over here, then walk across the street to the Jefferson building, and that's what's right behind you. Now, if everyone takes a look at it, it's a beautiful building. Now you're like, well, it's sort of nice, but it's not like the most gorgeous building I've ever seen. Wait till you get inside is all I'm gonna say. All right, the other Library of Congress building that we can see from here, there's actually 4 in this area and then lots of satellite campuses and things like that. But this right behind you, this is the saddest building in all of American history, which really says something too. Not only because it's some sort of terrible 70s version of brutalist architecture, it certainly is sad because of that, but the real reason it's so sad is because the building itself is our nation's memorial to James Madison, the author of our Constitution, the entire reason we're here. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Thomas Jefferson, But TJ, because we're on first name basis, I'm around here now. TJ gets both a beautiful memorial around the tidal basin surrounded by cherry blossoms and the most gorgeous building on Capitol Hill and possibly the Western Hemisphere. And then poor James Madison gets whatever boxy delight that is supposed to be. So that's what makes me as an American history teacher cry when I see this. But any questions about Capitol Hill, about the area, about anything here? All right, we are going to move on to the Capitol itself.